Good morning and welcome to another Tuesday tour. John Sautter along with April Hollider behind the camera from your Purdue Alumni Association, coming to you today from in front of Armstrong Hall. We want to make sure you know this is a recording, so you can't send your comments to us, but we do hope you comment on this one, because what we're doing today is we're highlighting Neil Armstrong's Walking on the Moon. Our 50th anniversary is coming up this weekend, and there's a lot of activity at Purdue, and so we want to make sure you're aware of that, and maybe you can tune into that. And so I may remind you that Neil Armstrong walked on the moon July 20th, 1969, 50 years ago this coming Saturday, 50 years ago. You know, some people actually remember where they were on those days. Now, April, I can tell you, she was not even a twinkle in her mom and dad's eyes at that particular point. Myself, I had just received a master's degree, had gotten married, and I was 2 days from being inducted into the Army. Life is a blur, and unfortunately, I don't remember. But I'm wondering if you might remember where you were watching Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. I suspect your TV was a little blurry back then, that sort of thing, a little fuzzy, but we would like to hear your comments about that. But we're highlighting Neil's walk on the moon, July 20th, 1969, with a variety of activities taking place. And so we're in front of Armstrong Hall. So you see a nice sculpture of Neil Armstrong, 1947, when he came to Purdue. He came on a Navy scholarship. He was studying aeronautical engineering at the time, and who would have thought he would rise to be the great distinguished alumni he is today. And of course, we're in front of Armstrong Hall. Some of the events taking place this week, I can tell you, on Thursday of this week, there's a wonderful discussion taking place. They're bringing in Gene Krantz, who was the flight director for this particular flight. It's a sold out event, although I understand it's being broadcast, and I think it's even going to be streamed. And so you might want to be listening in to that particular offering. Friday, there's going to be a special offering in our archives. It's new papers of Neil Armstrong's, including a piece of the cloth from the Wright brothers plane that he was asked to take up into space with him. So it's just a great connection from the beginning of flight to actually being on the moon, and that's on display, just a great display. But Saturday's the big day, July 20th. In the morning, they're actually introducing a new documentary on Neil Armstrong. That'll be played for the first time. That afternoon, a variety of events, including 3 books, 4 different authors coming in with their books to actually sign the books and sell the books. One's on Gus Grissom, 2 of them are on Jerry Ross. One of them is John Norberg and his book. Another book is about the Apollo project in general. And then Saturday afternoon, 4:17 precisely, that's when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. And so they're going to have a special ceremony taking place. And here at Purdue, again, cradle of astronauts, we have more than any public university. We all have our Neil Armstrong stories. We've heard a couple this morning already, even walking here and talking to people. But I have to share mine very quickly, and that is my wife Diane and I, we were asked to host Neil Armstrong, his wife, and Gene Cernan as a part of the Vision 21 fundraising campaign back in 1989. Our job that we were assigned was to pick up Neil, his wife, and Gene, take them from the Union Building around into the Armory as they kicked off this campaign. And we were just thrilled. Nervous as can be, as you might imagine. So we pick him up in our car, and Diane trying to have conversation. They're kind of crammed in our back seat. And she leans back and says, which she regrets to this day, she says, "I'm sorry our car is so crowded. It must feel like a space capsule to you." And as soon as she said it, we both turned beet red. They start laughing, we start laughing, and they say, "Not exactly." And so we got a good laugh out of it. But years later, we are still talking about that particular story. Great time, great fun. We are in front of Neil Armstrong Hall. This facility opened up in 2007, October of 2007. They actually had 16 of the astronauts back for this reunion. As April pans up, you can see it was designed to look kind of like a spacecraft. A great public area inside. Cost a little over $50 million and had a great dedication ceremony 2007 with Neil coming back, the first man, Gene Cernan, the most recent man, as he would always like to say, on the moon, for that particular event. All the events that are taking place are available on the website. Apollo 11, designed to kind of give you in detail, and there's more than I've talked about, but you want to make sure and as you do that, make sure you get back to campus, see Neil. His sculpture is positioned that he's looking out to the west, and in the evenings it's positioned as such that the moon will be here. And so if you have the right line of vision, it's a great photo op you can take. Neil actually looking at the moon, just a great experience. So we hope you get a chance to come back and see the building sometime. We hope you tune in if you can't make it, to some of the ceremonies that are taking place. This building is located, some of you may recall, this building is located where the Quonset huts were located. I actually have a picture of the Quonset hut. These were the temporary Quonset huts. They were here only for 40 years or so. But I suspect many of you had classes here. This particular Quonset hut is by the Armory. You see Hovde Hall in the background. But that's kind of what they look like. They were much bigger than that particular one. But located all along here, teaching creative arts and English class. I got a real live student who had a class here in the Quonset huts that were here. But they're gone. Armstrong Hall is here. And again, we hope you get a chance to come back to campus. And when you do, you'll see the 150th behind us. That's still going on. So it's a good time to come back, particularly homecoming, when we culminate with the Acela had when he was on the moon.